tournament for good prizes and for glory. Lucky is a player from Spain. He actually doesn't have any practice partners. Like he's just playing ladder, I guess. He's watching the streams. He's also a Savit's fanboy. It will be pretty interesting to watch Lucky compete in this tournament.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool to see a mix of those invite players with some of these open qualified. Now, keep in mind that we did originally announce that Colento was going to be part of the tournament, but unfortunately, due to complications, he was not able to make it. And so he's been replaced by the third place finisher, which was RDU, another guy that's been proving people wrong, just like you mentioned in his introduction. So we've got a field of killers. I'm really excited to see how everything's going to go. But keep in mind that we essentially have 3 qualified players for this tournament. Now, the first match of the day will be between Reynad and Forsen, 2 of the invites. And there's a lot riding on here because Forsen hasn't really been showing too much tournament level play recently, other than a few things like maybe the 2P EU versus China. But other than that, I haven't seen Forsen really compete in some of these tournaments. And now he's trying to make that transition to show that not only is he a popular streamer, that he knows how to fend off the Twitch chat monsters, but he also is a qualified high-level player. And of course, Reynad, just like you said, no introduction necessary, but he is coming off of a pretty stinging defeat yesterday where he was up 3-0 against Savitz, who's also in this group, and then he got 4-0 swept by Hunter to close out the series and lose 3-4. So Reynad's looking to grab a win and kind of redeem himself. But at the same time, Forsen wants to kind of prove his name. We're taking a look at the entire lineups. It's going to be a best of 5, where you'll see these guys kind of play round robin, just like you said. And we have the opening mulligans already with Druid versus the Handlock.
Yeah, Druid versus Handlock, a pretty interesting matchup. It will really depend if there is a Big Game Hunter as well. Reynad playing Druid, having that Black Knight, which will be pretty important. Well, I didn't have a chance to actually look at his deck that much, but he's playing kind of like a mid-range Druid here.
Yeah, it looks like it. You have things like the Yeti, you have things like Cenarius. And with these kinds of cards, it might make sense if he's playing things like Wild Growth and just playing a slower ramp Druid compared to the token Druid that's been popular since Haunted Creeper has been out.
On the other hand, Forsen is playing Handlock. He is running a Sludge Belcher, which is a pretty nice card from Naxxramas. Fits the curve really well for Handlock, and his hand is pretty much okay, I guess. Like, there is no Mountain Giant, but still, Twilight Drake is good, and he has a good follow-up with other cards as well.
He's looking like he's choosing to play a Sun Fury right off the bat rather than just kind of playing it passive. It makes sense, granted he can't life tap, otherwise he's going to overdraw. But do you feel like he needed to drop the Sun Fury whatsoever to kind of pressure against the Harvest Goal?
Well, the thing is, like, Forsen has no idea what kind of Druid Reynad is playing. So, assuming that Reynad is playing a token Druid, which was really popular, then Sun Fury makes some sense because you would expect, like, small creatures being played next turn. Here, well, with Hellfire, oh, okay, he's playing Twilight Drake. It's hard to say, but Reynad has a really nice lineup here with very strong creatures.
One of them is the Spectral Knight, a card that's recently been released with the military quarter. And Spectral Knight seems like it fit Druid pretty naturally. You have things like Innervate. That 5-card slot seems like an interesting flex position because Druids weren't loving Azure Drake as much anymore, so people were kind of experimenting with it. It's a little bit hard to remove. You have to use minions or at least some kind of massive AoE like this Hellfire in combination with it. So Forsen does manage to deal with it, which is very good because that Spectral Knight can end up doing major damage if it goes unchecked.
This is like a very nice turn for Forsen because he was able to clear the board and draw a card from Mortal Coil, and he still has that Twilight Drake, which is pretty nice in here. And Reynad has no ability to actually clear that Twilight Drake this turn. Normally you will have Keeper of the Grove to actually like silence it and kill it, and well, now even like Keeper of the Grove could just deal 2 damage to it.
That's right. Keeper of Grove just kills it immediately rather than put it at 1 health. Reynad's a little bit hesitant to make sure that he doesn't give his opponent something like free Molten Giant Taunt. He does have Black Knight, so that's one way to burst through. He also has combo, so if for some reason he draws into something like Innervate and he has the board position to end the game, he could. So even though this is kind of a little bit of a slower Druid, you have the ability to kind of continue to burst with 1 copy of the combo at least.
And the Black Knight is being dropped, killing that Sunwalker. This is a big swing, and there is like... The question is if Forsen is able to clear the board right now with his Shadow Flame, or, well, he will just have to just continue playing minions. Like what he can do in here is play a Molten Giant as well and coin the Farseer. This will build a really nice board. The thing is, like, are you expecting Big Game Hunter as well? Like, you've seen Black Knight.
Is there any concern of something like a combo, innervated combo as well? And you have to feel like you have to put something of a taunt or removal, like put a taunt, Soulfire or something, the equivalent of that?
Definitely, I think you always have to play around those cards as well. So the combo is looming there in Reynad's hand. If there is an innervate, he will just end the game right there. But on the other hand, like Sludge Belcher, does it solve anything here?
Yeah, I don't feel like it is able to stabilize the board enough, but at the same time, Reynad's hand's a little bit on the slower side. Lotheb's a board development card, so is Cenarius. Harvest Golem's pretty weak. And the Ancient of Lore, again, it's just kind of like there to develop the board, get your card advantage going. Reynad wants to kind of seek a way where he can potentially set up a kill for the following turn, but at the same time, doesn't want to kind of overextend because the problem is Handlock can always bounce back with things like Shadow Flame and the Molten Giant, just like you mentioned.
Yeah, but right now the Shadow Flame is out of the question because we have Lotheb. So normally Forsen would just drop the Molten Giant and probably use the Shadow Flame, but now he can't. So he is in a tricky position where without any Taunt Givers, well, he has a second Sludge Belcher, which is great, but he won't be able to use the coin, Siphon Soul, or Soulfire, which is pretty huge.
Yeah, and assuming he doesn't have an ability to survive this past turn because he doesn't have an easy way to removal, things like Soulfire and Shadow Flame cost way more, like you mentioned. He might just die next turn because Reynad has 14 damage from the hand plus whatever he has left on the board, and he could use that as removal, which means Forsen could be staring at his final turn.
I feel like he is stirring his final turn right now, whatever he does actually, because the combo will be unleashed next turn anyway, and it's very easy to actually kill the Sludge Belcher with attack from one of the minions and hero. So this is it.
Yep. So Reynad does have the combo here really quickly. Sometimes it does end up biting a Ramp Druid in the butt if they don't have something to put on the board. But in this scenario, enough early pressure has secured Reynad a good enough position to end this game right here. So he's going to jump out to a 1-0 lead, which is very important. You want to get as quick of a start as you can to the round robin groups because it's a little bit of a stacked lineup. You don't know who you can't really predict whether or not you can take down players like Savish. Or even what's an unknown player like Lucky? What is he? Hold on.
Wait.
I'm a little baffled here. Did we completely cast the game backwards?
That would be hilarious. Okay, so for now, for sure, if we have Forsen on the left, then Forsen banned Warlock from Reynad's. And Forsen won versus the Druid? Wait.
I was under the impression that Forsen was the Warlock player, but I guess maybe I read it wrong. But I guess Reynad is the one
Forsen
who
was
broke.
the Druid.
It makes sense.
Okay, the overlay was kind of confusing, I guess.
Okay, sure. I think we've gotten past that point. I think we're going to just jump into the game immediately. It seems like Reynad was the Warlock player then, and he's going to be relying on Miracle Rogue. A little bit of a mess up here, but it's just part of the online production.
Okay, actually, when you look at Reynad's art, he looks kind of salty, so probably he was the one who lost.
Oh, is this retroactively they made the art for the players so that way they saw results? I don't think that's the case. Maybe it's just having a little fun based off some portraits. Reynad is the top rogue player there. That's noted. He is going to have Leroy and Van Cleef in his opening hand, as well as a Gnomish Inventor, a card that's been kind of played a little bit more because Miracle Rogue has more stuff to do early game. So get those draws. Maybe if you don't have Gadget Stand, at least you have things that can put stuff on the board, develop it, put some damage, and draw closer to that card.
I really like Reynad's hand right now. With there is no Gadgeton, but still he has a lot of aggression in his hand. He has a strong turn 4 play with a Gnomish Inventor, and he also has the sap. So if there are any big minions coming, and he knows that Forsen's playing the midrange druid, so he will expect Yeti, he will expect the Druid of the Claw. He has those saps, so even without Gadgeton, he might be able to just push with damage and finish the game with just minions without Gadgeton.
Yeah, and that's why even something like a Coin Van Cleef is still very potent. Druid can't really remove on 3 mana that easily. Whatever that Van Cleef comes out as a 4/4. because they need things like a swipe in order to answer it immediately. So with that in mind, you're just able to sneak in some damage. You don't need to build it up as this 6/6, 8/8, or even higher creature in the mid game if you can kind of sneak in damage now. And especially if you have something like Leroy, sometimes you just pick up one Shadow Step and that's all you need to finish the game, depending on how things unravel.
On the other hand, like Forsen has Lotheb in hand, which is a pretty nice card, and basically you don't drop Lotheb on turn 5. Well, you can if you're expecting your opponent to actually play gadgets and a coin and like conceal, but mostly you just will keep Lotheb for the key turn. The turn where you feel like your opponent will play Leroy and Shadow Step, then you just drop Lotheb and try to win with the combo. So basically, like around turn 8.
I like it. Putting in the Druid the Claw rather in charge mode and taking control of the board immediately, rather than playing passive and letting your opponent do something like Eviscerate and even burst past it. So taking initiative, even though it is a little bit on the slower side. Interesting to note that Forsen does have these more rampy cards like Cenarius, even Spectral Knight, but he's also running 2 Forsen Natures, which heavily implies he's also running double combo, excuse me.
Maybe he's running just one Savage Roar and double Force of Nature, but this would probably make sense. Like it really depends on like what he does in turn 6. But I really like Spectre Knight as well. It's a very hard card to deal with for a Miracle Rogue.
Oh, absolutely. Backstab, Eviscerate, all of those things are just useless against it unless you're somehow able to silence it. But Rogue doesn't have those tools, meaning it's often pegged as one of the best tools for a class to take down Miracle Rogue. But when you have a board that's kind of like this and you don't have an easy way to just remove it, then all of a sudden the Miracle Rogue doesn't really need to even address the fact that Spectre Knight is there. It can just kind of ignore it, push through, and just continue removing.
How did you like the heal from Mention the Floor, by the way?
I mean, Forsen's not really hurting for cards, is he?
Yeah, and on the other hand, like we mentioned, Forsen is a Miracle Rogue player, so he definitely knows how to counter Miracle Rogue as well, playing other classes. So right now he like dropped the threat, which has to be dealt with, and Miracle Rogue just can't, go for face and ignore the 5/5. So he has to do something with it. And on the other hand, like Forsen just topped himself up with health, so it looks pretty good for Forsen right now.
Well, it was a good call too because Reynad has 12 damage in hand plus the 12 on the field, so he had 24, and that would just put him. If say he has something like a Cold Blood or Sinister Strike, or even a Deadly Poison, maybe if he didn't heal, he would have just died right there. So good game sense for Forsen. He does have a second Ancient of Lore as well, which gives him the versatility of healing. And also things like Cenarius Taunt might be really powerful depending on how Reynad's AoE kind of pans out.
Well, right now, okay.
Sap.
I said that it actually looked good for Forsen, but I feel like it actually doesn't right now. He will have to use Force of the Rough is an important card because he has to clear the board. And still, even if he clears the board, there's how much damage is there? It's like 15 damage and without the minions, right? Because there is poison, deadly poison on the weapon, and Leroy, this is 15 in total. So he's actually in a bad position here. He has to use Force of Nature to clear, and also Wrath. If he just plays a minion and heals, he's like dead, I guess. 23, yeah, he will be just dead.
I think you're right. I don't think Lotheb is even good insurance because you're staring at, another 12 damage already on the board. Lotheb plus Wrath would kind of shut down following sub spells.
Wait, this is actually
Force of Nature cleared kind of makes the most sense.
This is lethal. This is exactly 18. So Forsen is, well, he just died.
Well, we'll see how it's kind of panned out. Oh, you're right. It just kind of updated. His Skype lagged a little bit. So he has the damage immediately. And, Forsen is going to drop this game and going to concede before he lets Reynad have the satisfaction of victory. So game number 2 is going to be tied up between Reynad and Forsen, at least based off the overlay that we see at the moment. And if we're going to go into game number 3 with
build, because he has a lot of taunts, he has a lot of removal, but on the other hand, what's his game plan? He doesn't have a Ragnaros, so he doesn't have a big follow-up. It's like a mid-range priest that will try to stabilize the board, but I can't really see how is he going to win the game. I feel like he is going to just try to win the mid game. And following on the Deathlord that you said, it's like Deathlord is okay versus aggro, and it might be really good versus Miracle because there are not that many targets that he can summon.
That is true, but at the same time, you might be doing him a favor sometimes. Say he kills something out and he summons, I don't know, like an Azure Drake, and he gives him the spell power he needs. He doesn't necessarily need the card, but he has the body on it.
But it
That's
still tank like 8 points of damage from the rogue.
sure, that's true, and it's effectively kind of like a healing touch in that sense if you can utilize it, or even more, depends on how he uses removal.
And Forsen has a coin, so it can be a turn to Death Lord. Do you even do it? I guess
It
not.
depends. You know, a lot of priest players like saving their coin because it gives them a ability to combo off of things like Pyromancer. But at the same time, you want to maximize as much damage as possible from Rogue. How much threat do you feel under something like an early Thalnos?
Yeah, I guess like I would still well, playing versus Miracle Rogue Pyromancer is a cool card, but it's not that you'll be really clearing the board with it. And I would definitely, well, what else can you do? It's like if you don't Death Lord here, you just pass. So I guess he's going for it.
I mean, I
On the
wouldn't
other-
blame him. I wouldn't blame him because having the coin allows the priest to curve into something more importantly, and that's also important too. Priest doesn't want to kind of be missing their mid game. He's going for a coin thought steal and trying to get ahead of it. He has the Farseer and he gets the sap.
It's not that exciting, I guess, for
Yeah.
a priest. I mean, it's fine, but still, he had a turn free play anyway.
I was hoping more for some Leroy Shadow Step and turning it against the Rogue, because that would be cool.
Well, right now he
Okay.
can, yeah, he can use the Pyromancer here, which is pretty cool to have. On the other hand, like we haven't talked about Reynad's hand, and Reynad's hand is pretty awkward with double Fun of Knights, one no mission inventor, and Edwin. Still no gadgets any here. Double Fun of Knives seems a bit clunky, right?
Yeah, it does. You need something like preparation to kind of piece things together. Reynad picks up a backstab off of the draw with the notion vendor. So if he kind of puts together something like the auctioneer, he has kind of the spells to continue chain drawing. And Assassin's Blade gives him ways to kind of add the damage throughout the turns, assuming Priest doesn't heal throughout every process of it.
I really like Assassin's Blade, by the way, in Reynad's deck, because nowadays, like, people don't play any equipment removal. Like, you normally don't see the Uzes and Harrison Johns, so Assassin's Blade seems like a very nice card. Also, if your opponent plays Lothab on turn 5, you have a follow-up. You can play Assassin's Blade and still, like, deal points of damage.
And now that Deathlord's out, you know, Reynad's kind of pondering what's the best way to remove. Maybe he can get something nice. Maybe it accidentally summons Leroy early. That's kind of the fun nature, a double-edged sword that this guy wields sometimes. We'll find out in a couple of seconds, unless Forsen finds a way to kind of alter it. But that's kind of why I feel like Deathlord fits well in the Priest. You can keep healing it. You can kind of extend it. He has the Farseer. He's going to give it more life, be as annoying as possible, and continue to press. And Reynad has to expend more resources. He's already used one backstab, and now all of a sudden, it's still 4 health left.
Yeah, that's exactly what we talked about. It's tanked already so much damage, and it still continues to tank damage and deal damage as well. So what are we going to get from Deathlord?
Oh, I don't know. It's an
SI7.
SI7 agent. Well,
Gadgets
it allows him to
would
build
be
the board.
What do you think, like, getting gadgets in here? That would be sick, right?
You just prep into fan and continue the chain draws. That'd be pretty nasty. And then you even have the opportunity of like dropping Van Cleef there, having a 2/4/4s, and then continue your chain draws, which would have been really difficult for Priest to deal with.
That would basically just end the game. But it was an SI7, so
That's true.
it wasn't that devastating.
Ooh,
still
second prep.
needs-
That's not that great.
Yeah, he needs that gadgets, and like second prep is really signalizing to you, like, hey, I need that gadgets and to actually like, win this game. Because what do you do? Like, do you prep your stuff and play Big Edwin versus the Priest? You probably wouldn't do it. And there's
No,
that-
you don't want to get Shadow Word Death.
You don't want to get sap against the Priest.
Yeah, like what? You're not even going to be playing around that. Who expects a sap from their Priest opponent as the rogue?
Well, honestly, I wouldn't expect it from Forsen, but if I would be facing Amaz's Priest, I would definitely expect sap if I play a Big Edwin.
Well, you expect him to have the perfect response to whatever you throw out.
So here, the situation is like, oh, there is a gadget, and this is a huge draw, like a certain person would say.
That's right. You know, the gadget stand is the key to basically unlocking this game in favor of the rogue. You just get the chain draws. The nice thing is, it seems like he has opportunity to squeeze in Van Cleef mana-wise because he has 2 preparations. And you just kind of piece those things together, you can win. But at the same time, it applies to the same as Priest with Paladin, where if you kind of can starve out the Miracle Rogue, there is a finite amount of damage that Miracle Rogue can do. So if you can weather the storm, use things like Holy Fires and Lothep to disrupt enough, maybe Forsen can stall out the game and prevent Reynad from ever going truly off with all this damage.
It's very tricky, actually. He gets eviscerated, which is very nice because he was preparation and using preparation blindly. He could actually get like a second shadow step, so that he wouldn't be able to use it. But it was a big card to draw here. Right now, it looks pretty good for Reynad with all the pieces of the combo, and he is still going to be able to draw some cards. He can even backstab his own SA7 to like cycle the card, get something else, see if he can use preparation, because like doing preparation now again blindly is really reckless. Like if he gets a minion or if he gets like a shadow step or a second backstab, a preparation will be useless. It's just cycling it. So I'll definitely backstab the 3/3.
I think so. If it's going to be attacking into the Senjin anyways, which is always a priority, you don't want to give Priest the ability to heal up and be able to do further damage. Then you're just kind of trading it anyways. He gets a Deadly Poison, which continues to cycle train. Reynad needs to play a little bit quicker in order to kind of meet the time deadline. All of a sudden, with Deadly Poison, he doesn't have to actually trade his minion. Uh-oh, cards are kind of slipping away from him. Oh, okay. Oh, the Conceal, he get it off in time.
Oh my god.
Oh no, the Conceal didn't go off. Oh, that could be game-breaking because his opponent can now answer the gadget stand. He drew the Conceal, but he was not able to play it in time. And all of a sudden, that timer biting Reynad in the butt once again. And recently, this has been the same thing.
Don't ever tell me that Hearthstone doesn't need mechanical skills. You really have to play really fast in here.
Oh gosh, this has been a disaster. His board has been cleared. Priest is healed up to a reasonable health, and he doesn't have the chain draws. The Conceal is just sitting there in his hand.
But he gets wow,
he's been redeemed. Second gadget's in.
This is crazy. Like, yeah, this game is pretty interesting. And he plays the gadgets and he can still drop cards.
Oh man! But then his opponent has Lothep to kind of respond to it and prevent his opponent from dropping a lot of spells and and continuation. Do you feel like Reynad also had an opportunity to drop Van Cleef here and then can still have 2 4/4s on the board? Yeah. Do you feel like it was good to prep or conceal before anything else?
He can still play Van Cleef and get a 6/6, which is a pretty big minion, and it's not really easy to deal with it. Like Holy Fire deals only 5 damage. So yeah, with like just Lothep and
Sap. Oh man. Again, the situation where you don't really expect your opponent to have removal like that. You're expecting Shadow Word Death, if anything. But seeing the Sap is definitely an eyebrow raiser if you're Reynad.
Do you Sap Lothep here? You actually can Sap Lothep, draw a card.
You just draw a card and you put out damage. You put out another Van Cleef if you want to.
Yeah. So you develop the board, you still deal damage, so it's like a win turn for you. And Priest is going down to 14, which is pretty dangerous. Like, even if he drops Lothep now, it's like 5 mana, so he will be left with only 5. And he won't be able even to cast the Holy Fire.
Oh, well, Forsen draws the Thought Steal. But he's going to need a little bit more to kind of pull out this game. Let's see what he draws. Second Lothep. Well, I guess he didn't really need that. An excess of Lothep. Hopefully he's going to be able to survive, but I think Reynad has the damage anyways because Shadow Step is just...
Yeah, wait.
How much? Deadly Poison. Hold on, 1 sec.
How much is it? It's 8, 14. 8. He needs 2 more.
2 more, and unfortunately he can't squeeze in right now. Let's see. Is there anything he can draw off the top too just to end the game? I don't think so.
It's so annoying that all the cards are just too expensive, right? It's like you would even want to shift somehow, but yeah, I guess.
Oh my god, this is so trolly.
Yeah, but awesome. I guess like Shiv is not Shiv, like Sap is still a pretty nice card in here because he just continues to develop the board and deal damage. It's like getting the Priest to 8, having a full board where you definitely saw that Priest had a problem to deal with your board. Like he had to play Lothep to like counter you a bit, but he wasn't able to clear anything. So how much can you heal on 1 turn and clear the board at the same time?
Well, he's really hoping his opponent doesn't have something like Auchenai and Circle of Healing to just completely wipe it. But even if he does do that, You can't really heal from that spot unless you heal preemptively as priest. So in this scenario, Forsen's once again 3 turns in a row dropping Loteb and hoping for the best. But we know Reynad has the Leroy in hand, as well as Deadly Poison. So he's got a lot of ways to kill his opponent. And he is going to take game number 3 despite running out of time in 1 turn and looked like he might have missed an opportunity. Second Gadget Stand allowed him to continue to chain too much synergy. I saw, what was it, Dark Wanix try throwing Spectral Knights in his Warrior deck against Savich, but he didn't really perform that well because I don't really think I saw much play, so I'm still a little bit undecided. Do you have any opinions on Spectral Knights and their function in a Warrior deck?
Well, basically, before we started, I was talking to you that I like to see Spectral Knight in almost every deck because it's so hard to counter, and you're able to like build up board position with it instantly. But I'm not sure. Like, we'll have to see.
Okay, opening hands and mulligans. Reynad's not on the coin, which is very important for the Miracle Road to get started. He has a Conceal that he's thinking about keeping, so if he picks up Gadget Sand, it is a very strong card, but he mulligans away. I don't really think keeping Conceal. I think you want to push for your early game minions. Don't let Warrior build up the board, and just have something better than what he had. It was pretty weak what he started off with.
Yeah, definitely you want to have the free drops. Like, you want to have Edwin, Farseer, SA7. You want to deal as much damage as possible in the beginning and get those cards like Gadget Sand and Conceal. On the other hand, like, Forsen has the Armor Smith, which is pretty important in the beginning. He has still the Ghoul. He doesn't have the Acolyte of Pain. Is he even running Acolyte of Pain? He has to,
I would
right?
have to imagine so. That's like the primary draw engine for most control warriors, if not one of the most crucial ones. You don't really rely on things like Slam and Shield Block to continue to draw you the cards. Acolyte gives you the card advantage sometimes. Not to mention that they're also cutting Azure Drakes too, so they need something to draw.
And especially with Unstable Ghoul, if you are able to like play Unstable Ghoul turn 2 and Acolyte of Pain turn 3, it's actually pretty good.
Definitely, because then whenever it dies, it draws cards. Acolyte's pretty protected. They have to use inefficient removal, and Rogue does 2 damage, so it's not like a clean SI7 agent kill on most of these minions early on.
This turn is pretty tricky for Reynad. It's you face those small minions on one hand that are not really a problem, but on the other hand, like, what are you even going to play in here? If you play Fun of Knives, then you just give your opponent 2 armor and you draw a card, so it's not that good. Like, do you Edwin here? But this is so painful on the other hand, because using preparation to just drop Edwin, if there is an execute, you're going to have a bad time.
You're forcing your opponent to have it, though, and that's what I like about it. So Reynad's going to set it up so that way he can also efficiently remove this Ghoul without having to force Edwin to attack into it. Or use a really powerful card like Sap, which is important for tempo against some of these bigger minions from the Control Warrior. Forsen draws a Brawl, and his only play is something like a Cruel Taskmaster, so he has no way to efficiently remove this Van Cleef, and Reynad's gamble will be paying off, at least for the next turn or two.
Yeah, definitely. Right now it looks pretty strong for Reynad. But the Brawl will come at some point, so it's really interesting how much damage Reynad will be able to deal with that Edwin, because as much as he can, it will really make it easier for him to win in a couple of turns, where he finally will draw the Gadget Sand.
This is so important, by the way, that Reynad saw that his opponent just armored up and passed, because now he's going to force his opponent to only have Execute. He has no way to... If he draws the Shield Slam, that card is effectively useless as well. Forsen could already be looking at a lot of damage before he's able to stabilize the board, if he can even stabilize the board, because what does he have really to answer this other than Gorehowl for the next few turns?
Double Taskmaster. Like, right now he doesn't even have a valid play.
Oh my god.
It's so bad for him.
He would maybe, like, if he draws something like Big Game Hunter and he's able to like buff up to 8 attack and then kill it off, that's another way. But still, it's the fact that Reynad's starting to continue to build the board, and all Forsen's doing is hero power passing, and he feels so helpless in this situation.
I guess he will have to take the chances and have a 50% brawl and like really count that the free is dead. He gets a Whirlwind, it changes nothing. Oh my god, like, Reynad is ruling this board. He's totally like destroying the board. He doesn't even need the gadgets in here. And this is the thing about Edwin Van Cleef. Like, sometimes you just try your luck, you just push a big Edwin, and it just wins you the game. Like, we've seen it before at DreamHack Summer where RDU used the same tactic, I think, versus Reynad. Just dropped that Edwin and it won.
Oh no! Edwin Van Cleef lives, and now Reynad's going to continue pushing in 6 damage a turn. And you know what? Reynad even said yesterday, I think on his stream, that he was one of the unluckiest players in the world. But I think at least for one more night, wow, he has a conceal. So that way he can push damage. Brawl already has been used. Oh my god. In fact, if I saw Brawl, and I had Shadow Step, would you kind of go for it at that point?
I'm definitely going for it. This Edwin proved that he is the card that's going to win this game. And Forsen can't do anything about it. Absolutely nothing.
Well, he has Lothep to shut down a potential card. He has Shield Block to gain back some life, but he's already lost half of it. And now it's supposed to start the power turns from Warrior to strike back, maybe, if they're able to do something against Miracle Rogue. But Forsen's kind of been drawing poorly. He's got the bad end of some RNG 50-50s. And he's looking at a pretty weak turn, because even if he prevents the spells, it doesn't really matter, because Reynad's still pushing in the damage that he wants.
And that's why Miracle Rogue is also a very powerful deck, because you don't need the gadgets on. You can just win for damage for cards like Edwin Van Cleef or like Leroy and Shadow Step without the gadgets and even.
Nimshi still doesn't have a way to deal with his Van Cleef, by the way. The only way to remove it is actually Gorehowl at the moment. Oh,
execute!
Execute has arrived.
Oh yes, I bet he's happy right now.
He's salty, but he is happy. That's kind of how I have to imagine it, because there's no way Forsen can really just climb back easily anymore. He's going to shield block, it looks like, to gain back some health in case his opponent just has Leroy Shadow Step. It might be dangerous to just play Lothep, because you're still sitting at 8 health, so it's very easy to remove. Or
if Forsen, did he play Alexstrasza? I think he's not playing Alexstrasza, or was he playing Alexstrasza? I'm not sure, but if he has Alexstrasza and if he's able to stall the game for like 2 more turns, and then Alexstrasza himself,
yeah, maybe, but I think it's kind of unlikely. I think one of the keys to victory is keeping your health high, keeping it out of burst range. Reynad hasn't even hit any of his other win conditions. No Gadget Sand, no Leroy, no Assassin's Blade. I mean, he has Deadly Poison, so if he draws into Assassin's Blade, this game is actually just 100% over, because the Warrior often doesn't run taunts, and the only ones they do is usually like Sludge Belcher, and Forsen's opting to run Spectral Knights instead.
So he's able to use his mana well with the big 5/5 minion, shut down Rogue for 1 turn, and also get rid of the Edwin. But where's he going from here? Like, he has the shield block. He will be able to gain 7 life next turn with shield block and hero power. But is it enough? On the other hand, like, Reynad's hand is not that amazing. I guess Sap is pretty cool in here, because he is somehow able to like deal with the cards, but it doesn't solve the problem actually. Maybe not sapping here is even better, because you know that next turn you want to play. Well, you can actually Deadly Poison here. Oh wow, okay. That's also fine.
He wants double Deadly Poison the following turn. He'll have all the mana to do it, assuming his opponent doesn't have anything really weird to play Lothep once again. Double Shield Block. That's a way for Forsen to kind of climb back in this game. He's going to gain 10 life, maybe even 12.
It's actually huge, because he's climbing back, and he has a 5/5 minion on board that's not really a good sub target, right? And Reynad's hand doesn't have that much points of damage here. It's like potentially 5 next turn, unless he actually like draws something. Like, if he gets a Blade Flurry, that will be huge, because it's then 10 points of damage, but it's still not lethal. And Forsen 19 points of life right now.
Uh-oh. All of a sudden, Reynad's kind of hit a couple of dead draws and not able to find another win condition. And you know what? If Forsen picks up something like Alexstrasza, he's going to pop up back to 27 health as if nothing ever happened. So Reynad's forced to trade. Oh no, and then that damage is going to be able to be pushed back. And Forsen's also all of a sudden looking at ways to end this game right now. If he can get his damage off with Gorehowl and Ragnaros over the next couple of turns, the game's over.
Yeah, it's like, can you actually, being Reynad here, are you able to deal 19 points of damage next turn? I don't think so.
No, not even top decks his main finisher and Leroy.
Oh, he got a Leroy, but
Shadow Step. That's 17 damage.
No, I think that's 17 damage. So oh my god, he's 2 damage off lethal.
He's 2 damage off, but we know that Forsen does have the Gorehowl, so this game is actually over, because Reynad has no way to end the game and no way to prevent the Gorehowl from just going to the face. 7 damage, just straight to dome.
How did Forsen even win this game? Like, I just can't believe it.
Oh my god.
That shield block was so amazing there, like.
That's crazy.
Even better than like Alexstrasza. Oh my god, he didn't do anything through the whole game. Like he was just armoring up and staring at Edwin, just sightseeing. And I don't know, maybe he was AFK. And then he gets back, drops Ragnaros and then Lotheb, and just wins next turn with Gorhal.
Oh no! I think Reynad's kind of calculating all the possibilities. What happens if? Like, how does he deal with this? Does he have to use Leroy as removal? He's opting for it because she's just playing for the best odds in his hand because he always could just lose to the 50-50 coin flip. But in this scenario, Reynad has nothing else to do. Forsen has more than the 7 damage now because he has 2 extra whelps. And this series will go to game number 5 as looks like Forsen is going to opt to do a little bit of showmanship before the game is over.
The BM is real.
Oh, man. Love it. Able to squeeze in 12 damage shield slam on his whelp before the game's over. But of course, this is what everyone knows Forsen to do, and that's why they love him. The game is over, and now I don't know what Reynad has left. I believe it might be something like a Jinx. That usually come out at 2 health in the very beginning stages of the game. So it's interesting to see how it kind of pans out. But I do kind of agree with you. I think Savannah Highmane is the MVP card. If you can get it to go off and do damage and never allow your opponent to efficiently remove it, similar to the Van Cleef, if you just don't have execute sometimes because the shield keep getting removed, Savannah Highmane just snowballs the game out of control. Unless you have double shield block and your opponent has nothing in response.
And the game has just started with Forsen getting the coin. And it looks interesting. He actually mulliganed Slam away. So he wants to get those small minions. He wants to get Armor Smith and a Ghoul. He actually don't get them.
But Reynad starts off with something like the Highmane in hand. And this is where cards like the Haunted Creeper are very valuable to the resurgence of Hunter. You drop early rather than just hero powering. And you're able to just kind of tickle your opponent and annoy him to the point where he has to kind of spend something to answer it. But one of the best answers is what Forsen top decked. I believe that was the Undead Ghoul.
Yeah, this is the Unstable Ghoul. This is a perfect card. The Spider is so annoying because it chips your armor every turn, but with the Ghoul, the Spider is kind of defenseless. Do you deadly shot the Ghoul? I feel like it's actually a good play.
Yeah, it's a good play for the tempo. Again, you don't want your opponent to ever have an opportunity where they're armoring up and you're just being extremely passive. Not to mention that you do have Houndmaster to kind of follow it up and efficiently remove this accolade as well. So that deadly shot ends up paying off in spades for Reynad.
Forsen actually got the Spectral Knight. This will be so interesting because Spectral Knight can't be removed by a Hunter's Mark.
That's true. The only way is really efficient trading. Something like Unleashed Timberwolf or just using your minions.
Being Forsen here, can you clear the board effectively?
Well, you just don't feel good about using a lot of your removal early, but against this kind of pressure where you're looking at 7 damage and no ability to build it, I think you might have to. Oh, he has a cleave.
Got the cleave.
Oh, yeah. Man.
Cleave
That's
is
great.
Huge. And coin Whirlwind to just clear the board. Do you even coin Whirlwind? Do you have to? Like, 2 tokens are not that dangerous, and also they are not beasts. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you definitely can pass in here.
I think so. Now Reynad has Flare and the tracking, so he has ways to continue to draw. He picks up Unleash the Hounds, which is a card that is not used that often in this matchup, but sometimes can be the MVP if you're running low.
This is a tough choice here. He will definitely play Savannah Highmane next turn, but the question is, yeah, if you want to play Animal Companion now. Lotheb would be also good. Misha is pretty nice. I guess he would probably prefer Leok to just squeeze in a bit of more points of damage, but still.
I don't know if Warriors are still running BGH, but that might open him up to something like that if there was Leok and he plays something like Highmane. So in this scenario, I think Misha is actually one of the best.
The question is, how does Forsen actually deal with Savannah Highmane next turn?
Well, he has Slam, and maybe that can draw him something, and he also has Shield Slam to kind of remove, so maybe he can kind of piece together a few cards. But if he doesn't, he's still going to be in a trouble situation. No, you got to Shield Slam here.
Yeah, you definitely Shield Slam. And probably Slam one of the small guys.
Yeah, I think so too. Just don't give your opponent any ability to build whatsoever with Houndmaster and shredding your armor. But Forsen is running a little bit low on cards. And Warrior, if they're just stuck top decking and they have to kind of expend their resources, say these Spectral Knights are dealt with really easily, then Forsen might be looking at no way to win the game until he draws something like Alexstrasza to piece together. But if you see a hero power pass from your opponent, that also gives you a little bit of hope. Yep.
Yeah, but on the other hand, how do you even deal with the Spectral Knights being Hunter? Well, the best way is to just kill it with minions, but there's only a 2/2 Hyena on the board and nothing else there. So you won't be able to cast Hunter's Mark, you won't be able to kill command it, which is normally the way how you deal with the 4/6 guys.
Well, he also has cards like the Ironbeak Owl, so maybe that can be drawn so that way he can silence it and deal with his opponents. Double Buzzard allows him to draw 4 cards off this Unleash the Hounds, which can sling him right back into the game and be able to keep up the pace and momentum. Let's see what he draws.
Well, he's definitely drawing a lot of cards in here, and this is also great for Reynad because playing versus Warrior, normally it's pretty hard to actually get a lot of cards from Unleash, especially if you are not playing Leroy. But Double Buzzard, thanks to that, he was able to really get a lot of value out of one Unleash the Hounds.
Oh man, basically a full hand right now. And he's even got second Unleash the Hounds, which... oh, no, never mind. He's not running something like Leroy. Usually that's also a way to kind of end the game if you have Unleash with Leroy and Timberwolf. But Reynad's not opting that. He's going to have to play for the board position. And this is where an opportunity, if something Forsen picks up like a Whirlwind, that will completely destroy this board and put him back in the game.
Or Unstable Ghoul as well would be a pretty nice draw.
It is, but then all of a sudden you're still kind of worried about the draws that he might get from the Buzzard and continue to chain.
Oh man, being Forsen here, you won't be even able to clear both Buzzards, so you will have to...
Exactly.
What do you even do? You just have to race, right?
Yeah, I mean, your opponent has a full hand anyways, so it's not like he's going to be hurting on cards. In fact, Reynad has to kind of trade off a little bit beforehand to make sure he doesn't overdraw if he plays a beast.
Put yourself into Forsen's shoes. You're facing like a full board and a full hand, having 2 minions and 3 cards in hand. How do you feel?
Well, you feel pretty terrible. At this stage, you probably go read your own donations to make yourself feel better.
I guess. Send a message to yourself.
Dry your tears with your Twitch money.
Okay, being Reynad here, on the other hand, it's like... well, Forsen has 37 health, effectively. So being Reynad, how do you deal with this? You probably want a Timberwolf, right? Like, you want to increase the damage potential on your board.
Ah, well, he gets it. Yep, and that allows him to effectively trade. He will overdraw, it looks like, unless he spends a card beforehand that doesn't allow him to draw. So how does Reynad sequence this so that way he doesn't lose something unnecessarily? He's got a lot of combo pieces and good support, but if he loses something like the high main off of a bad draw, and he as a result loses it, then he has to be really careful to not throw away a win condition.
And we have a rope again.
Uh-oh.
This might be dangerous.
Oh, no. And draws do tend to take a long time. Dakota would have been nice. Reynad needs to kind of hurry up. Otherwise, the timer's going to run out once more. Uh-oh. He's kind of trying to use his Hunter's Mark. He needs to kind of push through. Reynad's running out of time. He still needs to do something like Hero Power in order to effectively... He's also out of cards, and he's going to burn his last Hunter's Mark. And he didn't get to Hero Power. Reynad needs to be playing a little bit quicker in this scenario.
He has to play faster. That's for sure.
Yeah, this is starting to... be a recurring habit for him, and I think I even saw Reynad tweeting about this because he's maybe losing a little bit of his confidence in responding to or being able to play quicker, make the decisions faster, and sometimes those draw animations take too long.
Oh my God, he actually got a ghoul. Look at this,
and he used his owl. Oh no!
So how do you even deal with this right now? There is no Handmaster. You'll just lose your board.
You're on fatigue,
and you're on fatigue, and there is a Gromash and Ragnaros. So basically, what do? You just lose the board here and play Savannah High Main and something.
I guess a Haunted Creeper, and then you want to kind of just keep hero powering, or you maybe play Animal Companion to try to rush down your opponent. Because the thing about Savannah High Main is that opponent does have a lot of armor, so if he has second Shield Slam, you're losing one of your primary sources of damage in this deck. Reynad's now already in the corner, despite drawing a lot of the cards he wants. He still kind of pieced together a way to win this game.
It's actually amazing that this turn looked like a board reset. Like the game is reset to square one, and Reynad has no cards in his deck. He's on fatigue damage.
Oh, and Shield Slam off the top for Forsen, so he can deal with some of these things.
He can deal with the Huffer.
Or he can deal with the Savannah Highmane, but he only takes off 2 damage. Huffer will remove 4 damage off the board, but at least you prevent the Savannah Highmane from being too crazy.
Well, you can also use it for Grommash, so basically you can just drop Ragnarok's armor up, see what you hit, and then use the slam for Grommash next turn if you need to.
That is a big gamble though, assuming your opponent just continues to push out and floods the boards with small units.
Yeah,
so he's gonna go for the safe play. Okay.
Well, he has 29 points of health, right? And he knows that Hunter is just run out of steam. Like, there is nothing he can draw, so he just has to use the cards in his hand. And is it enough?
Well, he's got 5 damage from the kill command and the 2 from hero power, so he's got 7 plus the 7, so he's got 14. His opponent will still have 15 left. Oh man, does he have to rely on something like Unleash the Hounds with Timberwolf in order to win this game? But his opponent's not building up the board. Warrior plays 1 creature per turn. He might have to draw something off this web spinner in order to come back and win this game, unless his opponent really has nothing to do.
This is so tricky for Reynad because, on the other hand, there is a Brawl in Forsen's deck, right? So you can't overextend here.
Also true. But I feel like you gotta be able to do something. Being super passive is asking you to lose the long game of attrition because Warrior can keep healing. That was only 1 shield block he showed. He's going to pass and try to not overextend, like you mentioned. Forsen picks up the Cairn. Again, a slow card that doesn't necessarily allow him to unlock key to victory.
Well, yeah, but on the other hand, he's building the board, and if he armors up, he goes up to, what, 28 still? So he's pretty safe. He's actually going to use Grommash.
All right, Grommash as removal and as pressure. You have to kind of deal with Grommash. That might draw some of the damage, again, away from what Reynad has. Is he forced to use something like Kill Command?
The funny thing here is that normally Warrior would win with the cards like Grommash, like just killing your opponent. But do you have to? Because right now you can just focus on the cards that are on board. Like, you can just clear. And
Sure.
if you clear the board, how is Hunter going to kill you even?
Yeah, is he going to run out of damage? Well, he's going to go for it. He gets a Stranglethorn Tiger, which is good for damage over the course of a couple of turns. Reynad also can deal with this Grommash by using Kill Command and putting out this Tiger for future turns, but he's taking 3 damage on Fatigue this turn, which means 4 damage, so effectively he has 10 health remaining. That's not that much to play with. He still needs to find a way to be able to win this game.
This is so tricky. This game is just amazing. Who is going to win this? Who is going to win this race?
If Forsen picks up something like Brawl, it could be Forsen right here. He picks up Fiery War Axe, which again allows him to play a little bit of the removal game.
It's still a good card. He can push with damage here.
Oh man, if Ragnaros, there's a lot of targets that Reynad does not want to hit, including the face. And if Ragnaros quickens the race, it could be devastating. Reynad loses one of his hyenas, but still, the clock is ticking. He's going to take 5 damage next turn, so he's playing with 5 health remaining.
And he has to deal with Ragnaros, I guess. Or do you push with damage? Like, how much damage can you actually deal?
I feel like you have to ignore Ragnaros. You have to kind of hope that one of your targets do it. This is where Haunted Creeper is really pulling weight because it might be one of the ways Reynad can pull in. He is within striking distance. I think he can sense it. All he wants is opponent for no way to clear.
No
and
Gorhal.
for him to be able to end, a Cruel Taskmaster is kind of nice, so that way he can be able to remove things off the board. But keep in mind, this game can just end if Ragnaros hits the face.
8, 10, 11. You're right. Yeah, if Ragnaros hits the face, it's the end. If Ragnaros hits the Tiger, it's the end as well. Forsen will have 14 points of health.
But is he going to remove one of the targets to kind of increase the probability? In fact, he's not going to even armor up, or is... Okay, he is. Never mind.
He did.
It looks like he didn't. Okay, he played the card on his screen, but before it, the moment of truth, Nimsh. Where is Ragnaros going to hit? So many prime targets, and it hits the Tiger.
This is the end for Reynad because
he has no way enough to do damage.
He's 1 damage of lethal. Yes, he is 1 damage off lethal. Oh my god.
Oh my god. Reynad is
style.
1 damage off lethal.
How did this happen? This game was so crazy.
That is poetic. in so many ways. The fact that Forsen is his opponent, the fact that Reynad's kind of missed a little bit of damage, the fact that, if you remember, a couple turns ago when he missed his timer, he ended up not hero powering when he had the clear mana and the means to do so.
That
and he ends
mattered.
up losing by 1 damage. Don't ever say that 1 damage didn't matter. Reynad's going to suicide with a flare, and Forsen will take the first series.